Okay, this is Steve, aka Paul Marks, coming to you from the FLEETWOOD Pace Arrow luxury RV I just bought. And I wanted you to see me in it making a video. I'm still under contract with it. This is with the approval and of the old owner that I make this video, so you can get a really quick overview of what this project and this foundation and this effort that has been ongoing for some 35 years now is all about. So apologize for my appearance. I'm walking 600 miles a month and bike riding 600 miles a month, along with buses, light rail, ferries to and fro across Puget Sound. I'm all over the place. So I'm a bit tired and a bit haggard, but I really wanted to make this video so you could see this rig and see the big picture. So who am I? Well, I am a certified public accountant, born and raised in Southern California, with a bachelor's degree in accounting from San Diego State. I went to South Torrance High. I lived right on the border of Palos Verdes. I was 3/4 of a mile from Torrance Beach. I grew up surfing, playing two-man sandball, tennis. I played 10 years of baseball. And I've really been a marketer all my life. From 5 years old, I had a lemonade stand. 8 years old, I had a paper route for years. I saved every penny. Kind of extreme. I've been riding bikes for over 50 years, well over. And even a motorcycle. I had an 800cc police special Moto Guzzi when I was in college. That didn't last very long, a few months. My parents caught up with it. They said choose. I chose college. I built a $1 million a year Amway distributorship that didn't make any money, at least not from the Amway checks, because it was what we call one-legged. It had a monster organization that I found 3 feet down, 3 steps down. And I learned a lot from him, and he learned a lot from me, because I'd been studying marketing most of my life. And when I was 19, my friend and I flew on a 1-year open ticket to LA to Amsterdam. I bought a 775cc Mini Cooper for $500 and drove all over Western Europe and ended up in Morocco, which is another story, Morocco. But I surfed both the coast of Biarritz and the coast of Morocco, just borrowed surfboards, and learned a lot. It was kind of my coming of age trip. And then 2 years later, my dad bought a VW van in Frankfurt and took the whole family of 6, I'm the oldest of 4 kids, to Europe. And we went for months all around Europe, even more countries than my friend and I had gone to, except for Morocco. And I drove most of the way because I had a lot of experience driving in Europe. And you need experience to drive in Europe. It's not an easy place to drive or navigate. And then I went to San Diego State and studied accounting and taught people or participated in teaching people how to ski at the Santa Clara Boat Center, which was attached to SDSU, and joined the water ski club and spent a really crazy long weekend at La Bufador, the blowhole on the coast near Ensenada, and discovered the Rosarito Beach Hotel. And later, my late wife and I took 2 trips to La Paz, which is the capital of Southern Baja, and one of them was with all 4 of our soon-to-be in-laws. We still weren't married, and they all 4 went down with us to meet each other and 900 miles south of the border, which at the time, I don't even think they needed a passport, although I think all 4 of them had passports, and so did I, and so did my wife. And then out of college, I worked for a CPA attorney in La Jolla and managed 50 single-family homes of one of his clients that I'd done all the tax work for, and learned a lot about real estate. I also did a lot of work in real estate in the tax firm, so I knew construction accounting and hospitality accounting. He had a wide cross-section of clients that I worked on, and got my CPA and went to work for vagabond hotels, motels mostly, pool and ice machine motels, headquartered in Scripps Ranch in San Diego. And they decided they were going to bring the accounting in-house from a service bureau they were using, which was costing way too much money and all kinds of delays. So they sent a team of 4 people, I think it was, including myself, to Boston. And I stayed an extra week. I was there 3 weeks and learned McCormick & Dodge mainframe financial software that had just been ported down to a HP 3000 mini computer. And came back to San Diego and helped them build their entire accounting system with McCormick & Dodge software running on HP 3000, all with a brand new group there at headquarters that was the IT group, and had a couple of senior programmers, and I think there were 4 in the group, and they supported my efforts to put the accounting system together with the new software. And then I moved on to a job as the controller of La Jolla Village Inn for a year, and spent quite a few times as what was called MOD, or manager of the day, managing the hotel, which was a full service 200 room luxury hotel with a hop and bar and a cordon bleu trained chef and catering, the whole 9 yards. And after I got married, we moved to Portland. But before that, I was already experimenting with building computers. I'd gotten my first computer in June of '82, so this year was my 40-year anniversary with IBM PCs and Intel architecture machines and open source operating systems that were just more popular and frankly made a lot more money than the Macintosh operating system, which was locked down, proprietary, and you had to follow their rules. And both are strong, both have their own advantages and disadvantages, and they've changed over time. The Mac operating system now runs on Linux. So pretty much if you have a program like Parallels, all the operating systems can run all the other operating systems for the most part. But I worked for an accounting firm in Hillsborough and a carpet warehouse downtown, Macadam Carpet, and a transportation company that hauled fuel. That was American Transport. And then I built a little computer store in Scappoose because we had moved to a farm, 11 acres on Logie Trail, right by Sauvie Island. And I opened a computer store and built thousands of computers and taught people operating systems and office products. And one of the things that happened to me in San Diego before I left was I signed up in Amway and built this big organization. But what I also learned, and I learned a lot of things in Amway. I didn't really get into Amway to make money, although I did make money. I just didn't make it in Amway. I recognized that if I bought a high-speed cassette duplicator at the time, all the media was on cassette tapes, and there were some VHS tapes of big seminars where they wanted to show the audio and drawing on the whiteboard, or in this case, it was usually drawing on one of those pieces of projection equipment with a black pencil that showed up on the big screen on the stage. with the cameras rolling, so they needed a VHS cassette tape, not just a regular audio. But I sold the audio cassettes. I didn't sell videos. And I made a lot of money from selling those because I sold tens of thousands of them. And the tapes cost a dime to buy in bulk, and I sold them for $1 to $1.50, depending on who it was and what organization and whether there was an event going on at the time. But back to Scappoose and my computer business, that morphed into building small networks for businesses and helping them get their accounting system started. And I had experiences building people accounting systems and doing their taxes because I had a tax practice while I was working for Vagabond Hotels in Scripps Ranch, living in Penasquitos with my wife. And we had 250 tax clients, and a lot of them needed networks, and a lot of them needed computers, and a lot of them needed help with their accounting systems. So we used QuickBooks and we used others. I've used half a dozen different accounting packages. But in the store, we decided to start a bulletin board system because I'd already run one and starting out before we moved up in San Diego, and then in the early years before we moved to Scappoose, I started one on Angel Avenue in Beaverton, where we owned a triplex. And it was because my son, not my biological, her only son from a previous marriage, he started a BBS before I did called Druid's Keep, which was a turn-by-turn role-playing BBS running Evolution 2 software. And so I had to have a BBS. So we had side-by-side sort of father-son BBSs. And we kept each other going, and we motivated each other. He's a genius, and he's still an IT genius. I built him his first computer when he was 4. By 5 or 6, he'd solved his first calculus problem. And before he turned 10, I think he was making direct contributions to the Linux kernel in the communications section, because he was doing all kinds of crazy things with phones and beige boxing and brown boxing and I don't know what all kinds of boxing. He's also the one that taught me what a 20-sided dice was. I hadn't gotten into gaming. He did. Big time gaming. Big time gamer. So that evolved into, that business of building computers and networks evolved into us being a dial-up internet provider and hosting websites. And my oldest domain is from that period, 1995. So what's that, 28 years, going on 28 years now. And I never stopped hosting. I took my machines downtown when we retired that business, and I became an eBay seller for a year, selling all kinds of computer parts out of the farmhouse there. And I started hosting websites, and pretty soon I had dedicated Linux servers that I'd learned how to manage, and a couple of thousand domains under management, and a couple of hundred of my own, many of which I didn't do much with, but sometimes the domains would go up in value just because you registered the right name. It's the business, domain selling. And I had long since abandoned my Amway business for a number of reasons, including the U.S. government sued Amway, and it kind of took the American business apart at the seams, and Amway decided not to pursue business after that in the U.S. and Canada. So they renamed it, they rebranded it Quickstar, and sent the business overseas, because overseas business had already grown so big. They said, the heck with it. And now Amway does 20 billion, 25 billion a year overseas outside of North America, and a lot less here. Just nobody hears about it anymore because Amway doesn't operate here. Only Quickstar does. But I didn't stop signing up for network marketing businesses because I kept learning from them and making money from them. Not a lot, but enough to keep me wanting to do the next one. And at some point I got into top tier, which is not network marketing. It's direct sales. It's you sell it, you make a commission, that's it. There's no residual income from your sale, at least not from the business that you sell them. You know, you might have network marketing businesses, a support business, tools, ongoing income from showing them how to use list building tools like Aweber or GetResponse or MailChimp, but it wasn't from building an organization where the commissions go down deep to lots of levels. It was just you sell it, you make the money, you move on, you make another sale, you make more money. That's what direct selling is. And top tier direct sales is when you sell it and you make a lot of money. You make 10,000, not $50 or $300 or whatever the commissions are on most network marketing businesses for signing someone up are, well, they're puny compared to top tier direct sales. And I met most of the big people who were teaching people how to do this, and I started writing courses and experimenting with things. And in 2003, I built a course about electronic currency trading, which nobody knew about, and it was pre-crypto. It was currencies like NetPay and eGold and eBullion and even PayPal, which never really got into that one. They shied away, and they were right, and everybody else was wrong, but that's another story. But my partner and I, a network marketer that I knew from the Portland area, this was just as my wife was having her brain injury, and we had to run north to Seattle for medical reasons. Well, we did something like 2.7 million in 15 months, and neither of us had made money like that before. And probably since, well, that's another story. But I completely got sold on the concept of selling information and selling a lot of it. And that's really what internet marketing is. I mean, internet marketing is a lot of things. It's arbitraging products between eBay and Amazon. It's coaching skills, high-end coaching skills, which is really what top tier direct sales is about. It's about the coaching. It's not about the digital product that you get and the website, the cookie cutter website most of them make for you. It's about the coaching. It's about whether or not you got the right person to bring you in to show you how it's done, and it will answer your question a year later or 2 years later, instead of, as one of my friends calls it, go into the witness protection program and you can't reach them anymore. So your business kind of dies out unless you already knew how to do it from something else, or you had a really good mentor, a really good sponsor, if you want to use the network marketing term for it. And between then and now, I lost my wife to way too many fatal illnesses. I think when she died, she had 8 or 9, and a bunch of other illnesses that weren't fatal. And I ended up on the street because I had gotten a divorce in order to get paid to take care of her as the boyfriend. I was the boyfriend at that point, and they were paying me about $2 an hour because I was doing 24-hour care, and they didn't even pay for 8 hours a day for the whole year. It's like, well, wait, who takes care of her on weekends? I mean, this country's system for supporting family members who are chronically ill, non-existent, terrible. We had to sue them in order to get paid at all and get a divorce. So I'm not a big fan of the U.S. medical system. Even though it did keep her alive until she was 64 years old, she wasn't supposed to live past 35. She lost her pancreas and her thyroid at age 10. And that's a death sentence. Most of the people she was in therapy with when she was in her 20s, they died at 25 or 30. But she just kept soldiering on, became a real estate broker, had all her insurance licenses, bought and sold a dozen homes before they even called it flipping. Played 7 instruments, perfect pitch, singer-songwriter, incredible songwriter. I have some of her music that was professionally recorded in the studio. So here I am in a 1992 Fleetwood Pace Arrow 32-foot luxury RV, all fixed up. I mean, this is in better shape than when it came out of the factory. And this is a Freightliner. This is not a hastily thrown together cheap RV that leaks and falls apart and then it ends up on the side of the road or somebody's sleeping in it. This is tile floors, solid oak, convection microwave, big oven, newer fridge, freezer, big, walk around queen in the back, 40,000 miles on the engine, GMC 454, easiest engine to get parts for in North America probably in this class. And if you watch my video, I have 110 videos on YouTube, about 50 hours worth of content, and that's maybe half of what I've produced in the last 20 years or 15 years, whenever video started. It talks about making a clone of this, making a copy of it, not necessarily this model or even this make or even an RV, but the RV makes a yacht 32 feet long, or the yacht makes a bigger RV 40 feet long, or the 40-foot RV makes a 65-foot boat, all in a matter of months because of the power of top-tier direct sales and having the right business model, which is not just giving them coaching, not just giving them digital tools and a cookie cutter website, but giving them access to the RVs, access to the yachts, access to the private islands we're planning to buy, access to the air fleet we're about to build, access to the marinas, which we'll convert into yacht clubs exclusively for our members. And the price isn't going to be cheap, except for the very first few people who get in on the ground floor. Some call it the meeting before the meeting. I have a video called RPRG, which stands for right place, right time. And that just means if you won the lottery and you're my friend on Facebook, I have 4,900 friends on Facebook, or you're one of my 8,200 First Circle connections, or you even heard from one of them and you're on my second circle, which is, I don't know, hundreds of millions now, because everybody on my first circle's huge. I know all the marketers. I know most of the techs. I know most of the media. I know lots of people in the music business. I just know a lot of people. I've been doing this for, well, I wrote my first code in 1971, so 51 years of code. I wrote it on a Deck Vax. I think it was either a PDP-11 or a Deck Vax at El Camino Junior College. We called it Junior College back then. Now they call it Community College. With rectangular cards with rectangular holes punched in them and a card reader. That was interesting. And then I did time sharing into LA with just a dumb terminal running basic beginners all-purpose symbolic instruction code. And yes, I've got an eidetic memory. I remember all this stuff going back to when I was 5. I built my first boat, an 8-foot Naples Sabot, one design, largest sailing class in the world, at age 14 in the women's locker room of the Torrance Plunge because of a Torrance Rec Department boat building class. We hired a shipwright. He came in and helped us build 2 jigs. We sprung 15 Naples Sabots off those 2 jigs. I brought my shell home and fiberglassed it because I was a surfer and I knew how to fiberglass, and then built everything: the mast, the boom, the rudder, the leeboards, the gunnels, the gussets, even put a strip of half-round brass on the skeg. So instead of it wearing the skeg down when you pull it up over rocks or sand, it just polished the brass. So, and I've had 50 boats since and about 50 RVs since. So I know my way around wood hulls. We'll be buying woodies. They're cheap, pennies on the dollar. Can't give them away. And older RVs, and then bigger RVs that are older, like Prevost buses. and bluebird wander lodges, and beaver grand marquees built on a Gillig bus frame. Not to mention 100-foot yachts. And watch the heck out when we have 100-foot yachts and Gillig buses and bluebird buses running around the world, and we start building the Bourne, just spelled like Jason, B-O-U-R-N-E, Blue Ocean Underground Railway Network. This is the Blue Ocean Tribe, and it's based on Blue Ocean Strategy, which is the 2005 book about why several hundred businesses just walked all over everybody else, creating uncontested market demand for a product nobody saw coming. And that's where the acronym VIBOS comes from, VIBOS, which stands for Value Innovation Blue Ocean Strategy. And that's what Blue Ocean Tribe is about, is creating oceans of blue ocean strategy that just crush every business in the segment we enter. And it's real. I mean, there are universities around the world that teach Blue Ocean Strategy now. Dedicated universities, that's all they teach, because it's so powerful. And I've been studying it practically since the book came out. Just like I've been building Facebook for 15 years, just like I've been building Twitter. I had between 3 and 6 million Twitter followers in 2010, and I taught a whole bunch of my marketing friends how to automate Twitter growth. And now we have hundreds of millions of followers and tens of thousands of Twitter accounts. And if they speak as one, you can do anything. You can change minds. You can take over countries, like the 65 million Twitter follower crazy did one presidency ago. Even before him, I had a whole bunch of my accounts followed by none other than Barack Obama through most of the years of his two-term presidency. That's the first major politician that ever followed one of my accounts that I'm aware of. And the last one. Says something about Barack and Michelle, doesn't it? So I'm going to end this video, and I'm going to make a second video which will follow this one, that I'll just do a quick walking tour with me talking about the rig on the inside. There are pictures, stills of the inside that I'll put up, as well as stills of the outside. And I won't talk about the other assets that we have either tied up or we're pretty sure we're going to get them. But as those come under contract and I feel more comfortable talking about them, like I'm doing with this rig, everybody that's on the list or everybody that's joined already will get access to those developments, exciting developments. And this is going to happen fast. And this is also, if anybody's ever heard of a dime sale, that was on the Warrior. I've been on the Warrior Forum for almost 20 years. And a dime sale was, every time a sale was made, the price went up a dime. And you would go to dinner and you'd come back and the price was $3 more because there had been 30 sales. Well, this is going to be a Benjamin sale. I call it a Benjamin sale because every time the first mastermind, we're going to have small groups of people in a mastermind. And when it's full, that mastermind is full. And the next one starts and it's $100 more, a Benjamin more. And it will go up into the thousands, starting at less than 1,000, and probably into the tens of thousands as we get the bigger yachts and the islands come in and the RVs get more luxurious than this. We'll have mostly diesel pushers pulling crazy stuff like little pocket tugboats and ski machines, and we'll travel as a crew, not just one RV pulling one, I don't know, trailer with bikes. It'll be 5 or 10 RVs, and when we come into town, people are going to go, something wicked this way comes, and that's what we are. We're a wicked group. Wicked, I'll just give you a hint, a clue. Wicked used to be pronounced wicked, and those were the people who stayed up at night trying to figure out nature, which the church didn't like at all, so they made it into 2 syllables, and they said, this is bad. This is the devil talking. because they didn't like science and still don't. So wicked is not bad, it's good. It's using evidentiary science, evidentiary logic. People who are wicked think critically. They don't just sit around in front of the TV and complain about not getting a raise that year. They go out and do stuff. So this is Steve signing off from the Fleetwood RV.